And if you're proposing some kind of blanket permissions for people from certain countries... I said a light touch
system.
Pardon?
A light touch system.
Yes, but you did mention the word blanket in one of your earlier answers. Does that include people perhaps with criminal pasts?
It's simply racism to assume criminality on the basis of the fact that they are asylum seekers coming from countries that have experienced war, persecution and danger.
No, I don't think anybody was assuming criminality. I was just...
System right now, we have thousands of Syrians, thousands of Sudanese, thousands of Afghans, thousands of Eritreans. These are people from dangerous countries.
Yes, they're now leaving dangerous countries to come here and turn us into a third world dangerous country. Even doing a criminal record check is racist, she says. Apparently, they are no more likely to be criminals than anyone else. That is simply not true. The countries they come from are way more violent and less civilized than here. So we have every right to be incredibly cautious. The idea that because we don't know if our neighbour might be a serial killer or not justifies importing all these men is ludicrous at best. At best. Imagine saying we aren't going to do a background check on people working with kids because most abuse is committed by people they know in the home. 1 minute she said they do rigorous background checks. Then she contradicts herself by openly admitting it's almost impossible to do background checks on some of these people from Afghanistan because they come from tribal areas where they don't even keep records. Make up your mind, which is it? But that doesn't matter because we have authorities here to keep us safe. What she really means is we'll just import them all, and if any do commit horrific crimes, we'll just arrest them. Oh well, I'm sure all the victims will take great comfort from that. She's mad and full of contradictions. Just listen to this.
That we should be doing, because it's utterly ridiculous. Within the asylum system right now, we have thousands of Syrians, thousands of Sudanese, thousands of Afghans, thousands of Eritreans. These are people from dangerous countries. The vast majority of them are found to be refugees at the end of this painstaking, often years-long process where they're not allowed to work and they're kept in these hotels. That's ridiculous. Let's just grant them their status and help them to get on with their lives.
So you would grant them a blanket status from certain countries? You would just give a blanket?
I think we should have a very light touch system that is designed to establish people's identity, where they come from and what their needs are when they come from countries where we have very high recognition rates for refugees. That should be a fast system that moves people through within a matter of weeks. It is absurd. Like I say, we've got literally thousands of Syrians waiting for over a year in these asylum hotels, and it just doesn't make any sense. And it is the mishandling of the arrival of, like I say, a few thousand people that is now turning our country and its politics on its head. And we're talking about, Nigel Farage is now built on current, trajectory. And thank goodness we got lots of time before that.
One of the things that people are protesting about is that it's already too light touch. That there is insufficient documentation about people who are coming, that not enough is known about their backgrounds, about their reasons for being here. And you're proposing to make it lighter touch.
I'm afraid that is based on a lack of information that people have, because the asylum system is very rigorous. That's why it takes years. The first thing that happens when people arrive on our shores, the first thing that happens is they are taken to take their biometric details so that we can identify them and so that we know who they are. Right? The next entire process, the asylum system exists in order to document exactly where they've come from, exactly what they're fleeing. This idea that they are people that we don't know who they are, we don't know who they are until they're here. Once they're in the asylum system, like I said, they are legally staying here. We don't let them work, but they are legally staying here. They're in the system. We know who they are. And if we introduced a safe route like we did for Ukrainians, so they could apply to travel here safely from outside of the UK, then we'd know who they were before they got here.
And if you're proposing some kind of blanket permissions for people from certain countries...
I said a light touch system.
Pardon?
A light touch system.
Yes, but you did mention the word blanket in one of your earlier answers. Does that include people perhaps with criminal pasts from
that we do. They don't have documentation systems in the way we do. Some of these people come from places in rural Afghanistan where they never had a passport or documentation. And when they fled from the Taliban, they don't have the paperwork to demonstrate a paper trail about their pasts. That's something that we have to establish in this country. I mean, the fact of the matter is that you're talking about, what if they are criminals? That is contributing to a completely false idea of who these people are. They are ordinary people like you and me. They are just like anybody else. There's good among them and there's not good among them, but they are no more likely to be a threat to anybody than the British person who lives next door, who, by the way, you haven't vetted and don't know who they are either and haven't looked at their paperwork. It's simply racism to assume criminality on the basis of the fact that they are asylum seekers coming from countries that have experienced war, persecution and danger.
No, I don't think anybody was assuming criminality. I was just saying that any checks, if they're light touch, they still need to be checking for that. Is that not something that you would agree with?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have, in this country, unlike in the countries where they're coming from, a criminal justice system that is capable of keeping us safe and making sure that those checks are carried out. We already have a legal system that prevents people who would be a threat to national security from obtaining asylum in this country. We already have these protections. What the problem is that we're not running our asylum system efficiently or sanely. We're making this into an absolute disaster.
OK, Zoe Gardner, thank you for your time.